Welcome everyone. Namaste. Thank you for joining this short session in shoulders, upper back, neck. Today I'm starting with a foam roller. If you have one at home, this is super useful. If you don't, you can use a block, wrap it with a blanket so it's not so hard, or something that more or less has a shape similar that you can find from home, okay? Maybe you are creative and you find something there. So I'm going to start by putting that foam roller down. I'm going to sit in front of it and keeping my knees bent for now and my feet on the mat. I'm going to start lying down over that foam roller, and what I have is the base of my shoulder blades sitting on top, right, or at the top of that roller. And then from there, what I'm going to do is first try and keep the hips down, and I'm not going to move so much, so I'm not going to roll yet. So if you're using a block or something that doesn't roll like a foam roller, then it's much better and easier, right? So from here, what I'm going to do is to interlace my hands, bring the hands behind my head, and instead of opening my elbows wide, I'm going to keep them a little bit closed in, okay? So first stay here and just breathe through your nose, 3 breathing cycles. Nothing much going on, but we are just letting our bodies start getting used to that roller or the support that it's underneath, getting more used to that shape. Good. For the ones who do have a foam roller like me, you're going to bring your heels a little closer to your sitting bones. Then as you push, you lift the pelvis just a little bit. It's like a hair that I'm lifting. And then I'm rolling up and down a few times. If you don't have something that rolls, of course, you don't need to do this. You can stay where you are. And maybe if you have something more static, you can start opening the chest a little bit more by sending the upper back over that prop that you have, okay? So I'm doing a few of those rolling moments coming up and down. And then I'm going to reset my pelvis down again. And this time I'm going to start letting my upper back cascade over the foam roller and go up and over with my chest and also with my head. You do not need at this very moment to throw the head all the way back. That may be a little challenging for some of us, depending on your chest opening capacity, right? So you can keep the head a little more upright, right? By pulling with your hands in, okay? So this is one version. Then if you want to go a little further and it's available in your body, you're going a little further. I still have my hips down. If you don't have any lower back pain, I'm adding a little bit of stretching through the legs. So I'm extending the legs and pressing the tops of my thighs down, like if I wanted to hug my bones with the flesh of my thighs, and I'm pressing also through my heels. If when you try this, you feel like your lower back doesn't like it, then you return to the bent knees, and then there's less compression or less action in the lower back, okay? For the ones who naturally have a more open chest, then you can maybe add the release of the hands. My head naturally comes down, so for me, this is not so intense, but it can become intense. So you can always put a pillow or a blanket under the head, okay? So I'm adding a little more, which is extending my arms overhead and then interlacing fingers and stretching through my index fingers back behind me, like if I wanted to touch the wall that it's behind, okay? So I'm pushing my heels down and pressing through my heels also away from my pelvis. And I'm breathing into my chest for 2. Remember that the versions that I showed before, they are totally legitimate, right? You can stay with the knees bent, you can stay with the hands behind the head and a little bit more upright, okay? It's just different versions and different options. Good, after that, we are all bending the knees and placing the feet down. And if you can, with your hands, you're gonna pull your head back up, any amount that you can to come towards upright position. So then you can use your hands down and push yourself up towards sitting. Awesome. Okay. Hi, it already feels better. Okay, from here, what I'm going to do is to sit. So I'm going to sit on my heels, but you can choose any seat that you want. You can sit cross-legged, you can sit with your legs open wide, you can sit with the legs in front, and you can, of course, add support underneath, like a blanket, a pillow, or a block if you need, okay? From here, now what I'm going to do is an exercise that helps a lot, again, with chest, upper back. All of this is related to the neck. So today I chose to do some things that perhaps they don't look like we are working the neck per se, but they are all kind of like moving towards the neck, okay? So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to open my arms like a cactus shape. Inhale here and feel your shoulder blades moving into one another, and send the bottom tips of your shoulder blades down, reaching up through the crown of the head. Take one inhalation here. With the exhale, I'm going to bring my arms, forearms towards one another, and I'm going to try and make my elbows touch. I'm going to come sideways so you can see, but from here, what I'm going to do is to keep pressing my inner forearms into one another and lift my elbows a little higher, of course, if you can. Now, if you're sitting in the shape that I am sitting, the same as me, then make sure that your lower abdomen is toned, so you're not overarching in your lower back, okay? So you see how I'm trying to bring my belly back. So I'm sitting more into my sitting bones, right? My sitting bones into my heels. My elbows stay together, and now what I'm going to do as I keep my elbows up is to try and bring my forearms away from one another. I'm turning again so you can see it. And this is something that we don't do often, and you will feel it in your upper back, okay? So belly toned, lift the elbows and open the hands away from one another. Take one inhalation. Exhale, bring the forearms together. Then we inhale, we reopen. We are going to repeat this a couple more times, okay? Exhale, bring the forearms towards one another. Lift the elbows up. Open the hands, any amount that you can, away from one another. Reclose and reopen. Hi, it gets tiring. One more. Inhale, open, sending the shoulder blades towards one another and down. Then bring the forearms towards one another. Lift the elbows a little. And when you're ready, open like a V or a mini V. Come back, reopen. Good, and exhale and release. Shake it a little. Good, and with the same idea, now I'm going to add something with a different variation. So again, I'm opening my arms like a cactus, or we call it goalpost. I'm lifting the elbows so they are more or less in the line of my shoulders. I'm going to inhale and again send the shoulder blades towards one another. Remember, we don't want to send the head forward. We want to keep the neck in the line of the spine, okay? And now I'm going to bring my elbows again towards one another, but this time I'm going to cross my right elbow over the left. If this is possible, you keep it there and you lift the elbows a little more. If you can go a little further, then I'm placing my hands towards one another, so my palms are touching. If you cannot do that, you can keep the backs of your palms together instead of bringing the palms to face each other, okay? Once I'm there, I'm going to lift my elbows a little bit again like I did before, and I'm going to now go inside again so you can see me. So I'm lifting the elbows a little, and then I'm sending them forward a little. And from there, I'm lifting my chest a little. I'm going to take a deep breath in and out. And I'm going to think of that breath going into the space in between my shoulder blades. Let's try. Good, then I'm undoing that and I'm opening again into that cactus shape. Low belly tone. I'm opening those elbows a little back so I contract more in the upper back, opening the front part of the body. Send the bottom tips of the shoulder blades down. And then as I bring my elbows back towards one another, this time I'm going to cross the left elbow on top. And if you can, you lift the elbows. You could stay here. This is, let's say, bus stop number 1, okay? Bus stop number 2 is that I'm going to try and bring the forearms towards one another. And number 3 would be the palms touching, okay? Either any of those are all good, okay? We are all working the same things. Now I'm lifting my elbows a little more. I'm reaching up through the chest. I'm bringing my low belly in, and I'm going to breathe again into the upper back. Good. Next inhalation, I'm inhaling again, opening the arms. And then with the exhale, I'm releasing and shaking a little. Awesome. Then I'm coming into a hands and knees position from here. If you need to wiggle or tap your feet, if you were sitting for a little too long and it feels like they went a little numb, do so. Keeping my shoulders under my, my shoulders above my wrists and my hips above my knees. I'm going to start first with rounding the spine. And as I do that, I'm going to push very firmly with my hands. I'm going to tuck my tailbone under or down and under. And as I push, I'm going to lift my belly button up towards my spine. And I really want to feel the toning of the arms as I send the chin down. And I feel how the upper back is really opening there, right? Or expanding. Then I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to lift the tailbone, let the belly drop. I'm lengthening the sides of the body towards my armpits. So I'm lengthening the sides and lifting through the chest. And I'm sending my upper arm bones back, okay? The chin lifts any amount that you can. Let's go again. I'm pushing through the hands, navel up, tailbone down, chin in. Inhaling. I'm arching and opening the chest. One more. Exhaling, we push and we lift and we broaden the upper back. Inhaling, we arch, we expand the chest, collarbones wide, and we lift the chin a little. Super, I'm coming back into a neutral tabletop. I'm going to move a little bit backwards so you can see what's coming. And in this one, what I'm going to do is to keep my hips above my knees, but I'm going to take a giant step with my left hand and then a giant step with my right hand. And as I do that, now when I get there, I still want to keep my hips above my knees and I'm going to push the mat away. This is just the beginning. So I'm pushing the mat down and away from me. I'm toning my arms and I'm trying to keep my chest open. Then looking at my hands, I'm going to bring my left hand first towards the center of the mat, right where it is, right in the same latitude, but towards the center. And then the right palm will go on top. So it's right palm pressing on top of the left palm. I'm pushing them both down and forward. And as I do that, I send my hips up and back and I'm letting my chest come in between and I'm letting my head also drop in between the arms. Good. Now let's push down and away with those hands. Feel the stretch in the sides of your body and breathe in and out through the nose. One more. And then as I push through the hands, I'm lifting myself up. I'm going to take my right hand to the right, the left one to the left. Good, take a breath here before we switch. And then we put the right hand under and the left palm goes on top. So we are switching sides. I'm again pushing down and forward and sending my sitting bones up and back, trying to keep those hips like you can see, well, I hope you can see, above my knees. I'm pushing, 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 and then I'm letting my head come down in between. Any amount that can come down. Feel the stretch again. Arms are toned. I'm pressing down with my palms and I'm breathing through the nose. Good. Then as I push through the hands, I'm coming back, returning with my hands towards that tabletop. And this time, keeping now the shoulders above the wrists. With my left arm first, I'm going to put that left hand behind the head. I'm going to keep my pelvis facing down, and 3 times I'm going to turn over to the left and come back to face down. Turn over to the left and face down. One more. Across the belly and across the chest, you're trying to lift and down. And that same left arm, so I'm not switching sides yet. I'm going to now send it all the way up towards the ceiling and then thread it under my right arm and bring the left shoulder down and the left side of my face, right cheek down. And I'm staying there for a moment. I'm pushing with my right hand so I can create a bit more of a turn of the belly and the chest. Another breath, trying to reach that left arm towards the right, any amount that you can. And then as I'm pushing with my right hand, I'm coming back to the neutral, the tabletop. Okay, second side, my right hand is going behind the head. And in this action, I also want my head to push into the hand, okay? So we are toning the back neck muscles there. Let's go 3 times. I'm turning over to the right. It's not a super big movement because I want my pelvis to stay neutral, and then I'm facing down. And again, up and down. Last one. Good. And then I'm using that same right arm. I'm sending it up. I'm turning a little more, and then I'm threading that right arm inside the left one to reach towards the left, sending my right shoulder down, extending the right arm as much as I can towards that left side. And my left hand is close to my face, so it helps me push the floor, the mat away, and turn my belly and chest a little more, perhaps. Breathe here for 2. Good. I'm pushing through the left hand to return to the tabletop. And now from here, I'm going to come down to my belly. Extending through the legs, I'm going to send my right arm out to the side and press down with my right palm is pressing down. Okay, the left hand is under my left shoulder. I'm going to use my left leg to help me do the movement, and we're going to be opening the right shoulder a little more. If it feels like it's too intense, of course, you go less distance than what I'm going to show, okay? So I'm pressing my right palm down. My left hand is helping me. I'm going to lift the left leg and bend that knee and roll myself over to the right. Now I'm going to touch there with my left foot if I can, or even with the big toe, just like a tap. And then I'm coming back towards the beginning of the shape, which is the neutral, okay? Let's go again. I'm lifting that left leg, bending the knee, rolling over, maybe looking up if you can, and then returning. Good, one more. I'm rolling over to the right, sending that left leg. Nice, and coming back. Good, we did 3. Now I'm going to modify this. I can see that in the camera, you cannot see maybe my hand. So now I'm gonna show you a little bit like this so you can see it. Instead of having my palm facing down on the floor, what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to turn my arm by bringing first the thumb down and then the palm up. You see how I did? So I sent first my thumb down and then back. That means that what I'm doing is what we call an internal rotation for the arm. So now my palm is facing up and the rotation in my shoulder is different, right? So I'm putting that arm all the way down, this time with the palm facing up. The left hand stays where it was before. I'm going to do the same movement that I did before. This time I'm going to stay there. And if you can, and this is just like adding little pieces, you're going to send the left arm up and breathe here. Good, and release the left hand. Come back to center. Nice. Bring that right hand under the shoulder. And now we are going to switch sides. So we are going to do the same thing over the left. Left arm now, I don't have enough space, but the left arm is going straight out like a T letter, and it's touching the floor, right? My right hand is under the shoulder, more or less. They are like for support. Now it's the right leg, the one that is going to bend and go over. And we're going to do that one 3 times. Okay, let's go. I'm going over and tapping. And then coming back. Good. Again, up and over and back. Last one, up and over and back. Good. And now we add the last one, which is that the palm, instead of facing down, I'm showing again, my thumb goes down and over to the back side. That means I'm internally rotating my shoulder and my arm. The palm is facing down. And I'm gonna go again, up and over. And this time you can stay here, you can drop the head like I'm doing, or maybe you add the right arm going up. Take 2 breaths. Good, then we return with that right hand, we return with the whole body. Bring both hands underneath your shoulders for a moment and wiggle the hips. Then you're gonna bring your forearms in front of you, extending through the legs. I'm pressing with the tops of my feet down, sending my tailbone down, and I'm firing my glutes, meaning that they are actively squeezing towards one another, okay? My elbows, they stay under my shoulders. I'm pressing with my forearms down, but at the same time, I'm trying to drag the mat towards me. So it's like if I want to pull the mat right towards my body. And with that, I'm lifting the chest in between my upper arms, and I'm also sending my upper arms back. My chin is off the chest and it's following the line of my spine, okay? Meaning I meant the neck is following the line of my spine. So we stay there, inhaling, pressing with the pubic bone down. Your tailbone is moving down and your belly button is lifting up, okay? Keep all of that, and if you can, you turn and you look over your right shoulder. Then you come back to center. Then you turn over to the left and back to center. One more time of like that. I'm still dragging my forearms towards me. I'm still lifting the chest and sending my shoulder blades down my back, okay? I'm looking over the right, then back to center, and looking over to the left and back to center, and then release, put the forehead down, take a breath here, and exhale. Good. Let's go from here, tucking the toes and coming into a tabletop. Check the position of your hands and just turn the finger pads a tiny bit. I'm going to say 1 hair out towards the sides or borders of your mat. And then tuck your toes and let's lift up into a down dog. One of those to stretch the whole body, which is always good. And also relax here the neck muscles by letting the neck become heavy and the head drop like if you're dropping a ball, okay? So if you feel like you want to pedal your feet, you can do a little bit of that, of course. You can keep your legs more steady by hugging the muscles up into your bones. My idea here always is that my thighs, the tops of my thighs, they are lifting not only towards my bones, but up towards my hip creases. And my hip creases, they are pushing back into my sitting bones. Now from there, drop the neck and the head, push through the hands to make those arms more toned and give more strength in the upper back. Good, and then bring the knees down back again. Awesome. We are coming one more time onto our bellies. And this time I'm going to send my left arm forward towards the top of my mat and then bring it over to the right. When I bring it over to the right, I bring it over any amount that I can, and I'm going to try and reach towards the right as far as I can go with my elbows straight, okay? Any amount. Good, from there, right arm is on top of the left one, and I'm going to just stretch it towards the top of the mat and release my head here. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Good. Then next step, I'm going to try and walk my right hand over to the left. So it's on top of my left arm, and I'm walking that right arm over to the other side. It feels a little bit like compressing in the neck. So you're going to choose, maybe you put the right cheek down on top of your right arm and you rest there for one breath. Good. Then I'm walking that right arm back and taking the left arm out. Okay, so we're back to the beginning. Now I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to walk my right arm over to the left. It's underneath, right? So I'm going to walk that arm, straightening that elbow if I can. I'm stretching, and sending that right arm as far as I can to the left. And then my left arm stays straight forward and I'm dropping my head. Take one breath there. Good. And then we add one more bus stop. Now I'm going to walk that left arm all the way to the right, all the way, any amount, right? For each of us, it is going to go different. So you walk that arm as far as you can. Now we have like a cross or an X in front of us. And then if you can, you drop one cheek down and you take another breath. Good. I'm returning to center with both arms. I'm going to push myself back up and I'm going to return to a seat. And again, your choice here, if you want that seat to be like I'm doing on my heels or cross-legged, it's fine, okay? From here, I'm going to inhale, send my arms both up towards the skies, reach up. And even though you're trying to make your pelvis heavy and your low belly move back, so I'm toning again in that lower abdomen region, I'm reaching up and trying to make my rib cage go further up and away from the pelvis. Good. Then from there, I'm going to bend my right elbow. So I put my right hand behind me, and with the left hand, I'm going to catch my right elbow and pull it in. Now, sometimes when we do this, the head tends to drop. So I want you to really be mindful of that. Bring the back of your head towards your arms. Keep the chin of the chest and breathe here for 1. Good. Then re-extend and release. Shake it a little before we go into the second side. Sometimes we feel tingling sensations or throbbing or the muscles, right? Like stretching a little more than the usual. Let's go again. Inhaling, reaching up through the arms, low belly tone, sitting bones heavy, reach up through the arms and the waistline. Let's bend that left elbow, bringing the hand behind any amount that you can. And with your right hand, you bring that left elbow in. I'm kind of like squeezing that elbow behind me, so my head went down, right? But then after I have it, I'm going to return with my head back, lifting the chin of the chest, and try and open the chest here. Breathe. Face is relaxed. Observe your breath. Good. And then we slowly release both arms again, and we shake it a little. Beautiful. Bring the arms back and forward just a few times. It feels good. Good. And from here, I'm going to invite you to stand up. We still have a couple of minutes, so I'm going to make you stand up and take another stretch with me. Feet are together. I'm pressing firmly through the heels and spreading my toes. I'm using the 4 corners of my feet, and I'm trying to bring the weight towards my heels a little bit more. My glutes are fired up again, so they are squeezing towards the midline of my body, and my thighs are also toned, right? They are hugging my bones. Keeping all of that and sending the tailbone down, turn your palms to face out, bring the arms overhead, interlace your fingers and stretch the arms up. Beautiful. From here, press again firmly through the heels, reach up, 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 up. And now I'm going to change what we are doing with the arms. I'm going to separate my palms and my arms so they are shoulder distance apart, and reach a little higher on one side and then reach a little higher on the other side. One more of those. Side body stretching, and then the other side. Good. And when I come back with my left hand, I'm going to catch my right forearm. You can go a little lower if you need, or halfway. And from there, I'm pulling, 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 pulling. My tailbone is moving down. My feet are very steady. And now I'm going to come over to the left. When I get there to the left, I want my belly button to move back, my tailbone to move down, and the left side of my shoulder or shoulder blade to move forward. So I'm connecting more the right and the left shoulder in the same plane. Now see if you can pull a little further. Push through the feet, come back up. Good, exhale, release. We are almost there. Last one. Inhaling, arms up overhead, reach up. This time with my right hand, I'm catching my left forearm or wrist or somewhere in between. Tailbone down, lift the lower abdomen up and send the belly button back. Reach up through that left arm and come over to the right. tailbone down, belly button in, and now the right side of my chest is moving forward a little. Keep pulling, 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 pulling. Press through the feet, come back up. Exhale, release. Beautiful, shake it a little. Again, in front and back, opening a little bit through the arms, shaking, 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 it's good. Awesome. Okay, we are officially closing this session on neck, upper back, shoulders today. A little bit of strength with it and a little bit of side opening, which helps with all of the upper back. Thank you so much for joining. I hope to see you next week for a new session. Namaste.